Okay, looks like I'm live. But who knows? Who knows? You never know. You never know. Yeah, let's see. Uh, if you can hear me, if you can see me, then write something in the chat so I know that I'm live. Okay. Looks like I'm slowly. Let's see if LinkedIn is working. Okay, so I have to say sorry for LinkedIn, I guess, because the last time I did a live stream, it actually worked. It worked perfectly. Sarah, welcome. Carlos, welcome. Christy, welcome too. Welcome everyone. It means it actually works. Okay, Anderson, welcome too. What a wonderful technology. LinkedIn is actually working. Let's see. It does work. It does work. What a miracle. Okay, anyone who is watching on LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. But it would be better if you watch on YouTube. It would be really better. The reason for that is because LinkedIn, I don't know, it kind of did not work for me so many times. So I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming on Twitch, which doesn't make any sense at all, but that's where everyone streams. So I was like, it's one button in the streaming software. If I just click on that button, I'll just stream to many more locations. And I was like, why not? Why not clicking this one button and stream to one more location? I used to stream every day for I think 60 days in the row I think in the beginning of 2024. And I enjoyed it because I love live streaming, because I love interacting with you guys. I really like it. Okay, so can you guys write where are you from? What city are you from? That's going to be for the start. Write the city you're from, and so I can see who's. I'm sure we're gonna get US. I'm sure we're gonna get Germany. I'm sure we're gonna get India. Now I'm sure we're gonna get Brazil. What else? I'm sure we're not gonna get. Wait, what is the country that we're not gonna get? Morocco. We're not gonna get Morocco. There's a lot of people from Morocco who actually add me on LinkedIn, and it looks like the ecosystem in Morocco, the Salesforce ecosystem, is actually growing. But I feel like we're not getting any Morocco today. Buenos Aires, nice. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. So, Belgium, from a very small town. Nice, nice. I was in Belgium recently. Kiev, Ukraine. Yay, Ukraine. Freezing in Kiev. I know that it's really freezing there. The Russians just shoot the electricity, and the Kiev government was not prepared for that. And they messed up in a lot of things. And now everyone is freezing in Kiev. Unfortunately. Utah, US. Nice. I knew we're going to get someone from US. And it was, I thought it's going to be either Boston or or I don't know, some other city that I don't know. But for some reason, it's always someone from Boston. Hey, welcome, Vuk, welcome. I don't know how to pronounce your name correctly, but welcome too. Welcome. We gonna make streaming great again. I really wish there was more people who actually streamed in Salesforce. I see so many people, guys. You're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the last place you should be right now because it's horrible. It's horrible for streaming. It's horrible for everything. If you go to YouTube, actually, YouTube loves when you watch live stream because it gives me watch hours, and I'm on the quest of getting 4,000 watch hours this year. Okay, so this is my quest on YouTube. And yeah, so go on YouTube. If you're watching it on LinkedIn, just go on YouTube. There's literally no point in watching it on LinkedIn, especially because on LinkedIn, I know LinkedIn, it just might just turn off on its own, and who knows if it's gonna work through the whole stream. I'm gonna stream today for about an hour, hour and a half, and I'm gonna teach you the basics of Apex. I'm gonna teach you basically from scratch how to code. And we have also someone from Dominican Republic, from Santiago. Nice, welcome too. So I'm gonna teach you how to code, the basics of Salesforce development. And first of all, let's see if I can write here. No, my board doesn't work, so I have this mouse. Let's see. There's oh, they change everything. I updated my Mac, and I don't think I can find anything anymore. What was that app that I had to use? Wait, what's the app? Gaumon. Yeah, here we go. Without this thing, it won't work. Okay. Okay, plus in the chat if you know how to code, and minus if you don't know how to code. I wonder what you guys, if you know how to code or not, while I'm connecting this Chinese or not Chinese, I don't know, pen. Yay, nice, it's connected. Hey, what's that? Nice, now it works. All right, perfect. All right. All right. Okay. So you see, this is the picture that I use sometimes. I did it like I think a year ago because I kind of feel that Salesforce doesn't do a great job with Trailhead. I have a lot of memes on Trailhead. They always perform well on LinkedIn. But the point is that Salesforce, even if Salesforce is a billion-dollar company, they haven't really done anything very, very excellent on Trailhead when it comes to Salesforce development, especially not when it comes to Apex. Okay, I see Andy writes minus. Kai CMO USA has to be some kind of KC. What is the KC? What can it be? I have no idea. It has to be the state, right? Some kind of Kentucky state. I have no idea. Okay, Hassan plus, Johnny minus. Okay. So some people just your Apex scores. Okay. If you're familiar with my Apex course, right? So this is my Apex course. And if you look there, you can see that here we have 2 new modules, which are not open right now for you because, well, I'm still writing them. They're still not done, right? The asynchronous Apex is almost done. Integrations, not that much done, to be honest. So I'm aiming for 26 of January to have everything done and also actually relaunch. Kansas City, no Kentucky. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm very bad at US geography. Okay, so I'm aiming for 26th of January to actually relaunch Learn Apex. And we're gonna slowly fix everything that Salesforce messed up. And what Salesforce messed up is that you cannot become a Salesforce developer by studying on your own in Salesforce. If you try to go to Trailhead, which I'm not gonna do on the stream, but if you try to go there, this is you. I'm not sure what I want to represent with this, but it is very, very self-harming to go on on Trailhead and trying to learn Apex. Okay, And especially the main reason for that is because when you learn Apex, when you learn Salesforce development, you have to learn the most important thing, coding. Coding. Now, coding and Apex are a little bit different. And they're different in terms of that coding is your kind of ability to speak the computer language. If you know how to code in any of the programming languages, you can do it in any other. For example, if you know how to code in JavaScript, you will be able to go and code in Python without even reading anything additional, right? You will be able to do that. So whenever you start with the Salesforce development, the first thing you need to do is to learn how to code, and it's literally impossible to do on Trailhead. Okay. So Dan says, no worries, your world geography is probably radical better. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I had a friend from Ireland, and then I thought at some point I thought that Ireland is part of UK, and if you know anyone from Ireland, it's kind of a big insult. What should I say, guys? I was coding on my geography lessons. I have to admit, I was learning how to code on geography lessons. So I know it's bad, and I failed, or the school system failed me. I don't know, but I didn't learn properly geography. Okay, so coding. Why do you need coding, right? Because if you want to learn Apex, LWC, and all of these triggers and blah blah blah, you need to learn how to code. I see so many people coming to me and saying like, "Hey Igor, you know what? I know how to read code, but I don't know how to write code." And you know why? Because you don't know coding. That's the reason. So you need to learn how to code. And whenever I hear that, I don't know what comes to your mind when I say, what is the first topic that you guys think when I say learn how to code? The topic that I always suggest is variables. Variables. Here we go. Variables. Now, whatever topic you had in your mind, if it's not variables, you're wrong. That's it. If it's not variables, if you start with anything else, whenever you start with the Apex, if you start with anything else, you're wrong. You have to start with variables. This is literally the topic number one. No flows, no methods, not triggers, definitely not triggers, okay? It has to be variables, okay? So it's important. It's very, very important. Okay, I'm gonna send you one last time a link to YouTube because I see a lot of people watching on LinkedIn. So guys, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Okay, so most people, I see that most people who joined here, you don't have that much experience with coding, which is good, which we're gonna fix. So yeah, what I want to do today is basically that you guys write the first line of code. No matter if you didn't code before, but I hope that if you watch the stream, then by the end of the stream, you just know how to write the first line of code. And if you follow what I'm telling you, then you can go even beyond that. Now, variables, this is the first thing that you need to get started with. And let's go to Salesforce. Let's actually go get to Salesforce and let's get started, because look, also what you definitely shouldn't be doing is not doing VS Code, okay? So VS Code, I also see it a lot. VS Code. Hey, I want to become a developer. I want to learn how to code. So what I'm going to do is that I see that all those developers, they all code in VS Code or IntelliJ IDEA. That's even worse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and install VS Code, and then you try to install VS Code, and then you're lost because it's a lot of steps, and you're lost and you haven't actually learned how to code. This is so often, this is so frequent. So what we're going to do with VS Code, we're not going to install it. We're not going to do anything with VS Code. Okay. Did you put the link to YouTube here in the chat? Yeah, you don't see it? Wait, let's see. Let's see if I can. If LinkedIn will be so kind to allow me to actually access the chat, would be nice. Will it though? Do you guys see the link? Now I can put it. Here we go. Okay. That's okay. I see that you didn't have my links before. Okay, you didn't have my links before. Now you have, guys. Okay. So now for everyone who is on LinkedIn, there's literally no point staying there. No point. I tell you guys. YouTube is so much better. And think about this. Not only YouTube is better, but you're also giving watch hours to me, which is you're actually making a difference for my YouTube channel. You're helping me. So if you're so kind to help me a little bit, then go to the YouTube. I really appreciate it. Okay. And by the way, if this stream goes well, I'm going to stream more. So the more active you are, ask your questions in the chat, whatever, just send me some stuff that comes to your mind. If you have any questions, write them, because the more active you are, the more fun I have and the more I want to stream again, right? Okay, so VS Code, forget about this. Triggers, forget about this. Flows, forget about this. Nothing of this type you need to learn, okay? What we're going to use for coding is developer console. Okay, so the way to get to the developer console is pretty easy. You cannot see it here because of how I set up, but you need to go here to the setup, right? And then you need to click on the developer console. But if you just click on it like this, it's going to be annoying and it's going to open in the new window. So instead, I like to open in a new tab like this, right? So you click it with the right click here, and then you can open in the new tab here. I don't think you can actually see it. Yeah, it doesn't really show you, but you need to click on the right here, and then you open it in the new window, in the new tab, and then you can open it here as a separate tab. All right, so this is the way I work with the developer console. Is developer console outdated? Yes, it is. Should you use it for real world development? No, absolutely not. Right? If I were to hire someone and I saw that they're using developer console, I would be like, what the hell is that, right? So you should not be using developer console. But for learning how to code, it's perfect because you don't need to install anything. You can just execute your Apex code immediately. And that's the most important thing. Okay. So I'm going to make it a little bit closer here. Now, the way you usually write Apex is by creating classes. But I don't want to do it right now because I want to focus on variables first. So I want to show you this debug thing. So you click here on debug, and then you click on open execute animus window. And I have here some code. You will not have here any code. Okay, so it will be absolutely empty for you, right? Like this. Okay, this is what you're going to see. Now we're going to write the simplest possible thing in Salesforce, which you have no way to understand. If you start from complete zero, you have absolutely no way to understand what we're about to write. And this is fine. In coding, sometimes you have to kind of write stuff that you don't understand and revisit it later once you understand it. Okay, so let's write this. System.debug hello. Like this. Just hello. Not hello world, just hello. Okay. Now, system, it's a class, and debug is a method, and this is a string, which ignore all these words for now. This is blah, blah, blah. What you have at the end, you have the semicolon. Semicolon, you need to have it all the time at every line that you finish. Pretty easy. Now, here, I recommend you to put open log immediately and click on execute. Gonna click on execute. Now, what happens is that we executed now this script, and this script was basically executed on the Salesforce server. Now, for some reason, you see that my org is set to the Brasilia standard time. Do we have people from Brasilia? So, yeah, I don't know why it is São Paulo. Yeah, whatever. It's set for some reason there. Okay, now what you see here is a log. A log is basically kind of a list of things that Apex did on the server. That's literally it. It's just a list of what happened. You can see we started executing the script that we have. We have hello here, and we have a bunch of limits. Essentially, it's pretty much useless for you right now in most cases. But the only thing that you need there is you need to click on this debug only, and then it will filter for you this whole log. It will be filtered, and you'll only see the stuff that you put into the system.debug. So everything that you put here, you will be able to see here in this debug log. Okay, that's the deal. So now this thing is obviously not doing much, and of course this is kind of a point for now. So let's make it a little bit more helpful. Now, as I said to you, the most important topic in Apex is variables. Okay, so variables is the most important. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions at some point, just shoot them in the chat. It would be interesting for me to see what kind of thought process you have in your head. If you're confused with something, if everything is clear. Yeah. Okay. So what we have? We have the system.debug. Now, I'm going to create here the first variable. And it's going to be string name equal to Igor. And then I'm going to print it out like this. I'm going to explain what happens, but for now, I'm just going to click on execute. And I'm going to click on debug only, and you can see Igor here, right? So you can see whatever we put here in the system debug, it's going to be printed out into the debug logs. Okay, but now what's going on here? There's quite a bit of things that are happening here, actually. Here we go. Okay. Can you guys tell me what is the type here? What is the type of this variable in the chat? So this is how you will have most variables defined, right? A variable always has at least two components to it. The first thing is the type, and it's this thing. This is the type. And this is the variable name. Now, by accident, the variable name is name, which I probably should have said something else. But those two things, they're always going to be in a variable. Now, as the type, you can have unlimited different things as the type. As the variable name, you can put any variable name as long as it follows few simple rules. Something like it doesn't start with a number. So for example, what you cannot do is that you cannot say one name, but you can say name one, right? So it can finish with a number, but it can start with a number. And also it cannot have any special characters. So it can only have like actual string here. It can only have the underscore, and that's it. But in most cases, you don't want to have any underscore, right? In most cases, you actually just want to have name as the variable like this. That's all you want to have. Now, why do we actually need variables, right? First of all, you use it all the time, everywhere, and you're probably already familiar with the variables from flows, right? So I assume that you guys familiar with this. It's essentially the same thing, right? If you look at the flow, you'll see that it also has type, it also has name, and you have some value in there. So the same happens here, right? We define the variable here. Let me remove actually this thing. Like this, right? Now, this part, this is what we call declaration. Declaration. This is variable declaration. Essentially, declaration is a fancy word of saying we are creating a variable. Basically, just creating a variable. Creating a variable, okay? And this part, let me take another color. This is what we call initialization. Initialization, right? Basically, this is putting a value. Putting a value inside of a variable. It's very simple. If I make analogy with the real world, okay? Imagine you have a box. Can I actually draw a box? Paul says so much more helpful than Trailhead so far. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that by the way, if you just take this code and you put it in the in the developer console, you already wrote the first line of code. So it would be nice. Let's see if I can draw a box. How do you draw a box? I remember in the school we were learning, like, you draw. Help. Okay, let's imagine it's a 3D box. Okay, this is 3D box. All right, imagine you're moving out and you have a lot of Salesforce books that you wanna that you wanna bring with you, right? Variable is similar to a box. What you would do is that you would put some values into a box, right? You would put some books into the box, and then you would write here books. Okay, that's the way you would do it. And then you would pack it, and then you would go and try to move into another apartment or house, right? Now, the process of putting the books, this is what we have as initialization. Initialization, right? So basically, you're taking something and you're putting into a variable. This is, you're putting the values into a variable. This is the same as you're taking the books and actually putting it in the box. But before you can put the books in the box, you need to have a box, right? And this is creating the box. This is essentially the declaration. Declaration, blah, 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 right? So this is how you can imagine it. If you want to have some kind of real world example, that's basically it. And then this variable, it holds this value. So now when you created the variable, you can start using this variable to do stuff with this. For example, you can print it out to the logs. So we are literally using this variable to print it out. Okay. There are unlimited amount of things that you can do, how you can use a variable. But essentially, that's it. That's a fundamental building block of any of your Apex code. So later, when you write actual like big Apex programs, you will see that they will all consist out of variables, because variables, they hold the information that you have. For example, if you're writing whatever, an integration that sends whatever customer data to another server, to ERP or whatever, to accounting, right? You would save those customers in a variable. So variables is essentially this, they're very fundamental. They are part of all the other things. So you cannot do much with variables themselves, but they're the essential building blocks of anything that you write in Apex, because something needs to hold the data that you work in Apex with, and that's variables all the time. So they hold the values. Okay. Now, again, you don't need to fully understand what's going on there, right? Now you can see that I put here this single quotes. This is what you do when you work with a text in Apex, right? So for example, if we go here, let's go to the objects, right? Which object should we go? Let's go account, right? Let's go to the accounts. Whenever we have some kind of data in Salesforce, usually this data has a type attached to it. A text, a pick list, a number, a lookup, all these type of things, right? Many, many different types that you have here. Now, those types, they don't match one-to-one to the types in Apex. They're similar, but they're not one-to-one. Okay, can you guys, out of your head, can you start listing for me the types that you know for data in Salesforce, what's possible in there, especially on the fields, right? While I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, so what are possible types? The first one is checkbox. Checkbox date. This is a good one. Date. There's also what's another one? Text. Then there are another text and then another text, right? So there are multiple text field. There's a lookup. What else? Lookup, text, pick list. Pick list is a nice one. Pick list. Yeah, pick list is a nice one. What else do we have? Formula. Now, formula, this is actually very interesting. So formula is not a type, right? Formula will give you some type, but it's not a type. Text area, right? I'm going to put a text area. Email, that's pretty cool. Email, love it. Boolean is not a type in Salesforce, not on the fields, right? So this is in Salesforce. A number is the one that no one mentioned number. This is the most basic one, number. Okay. Now, those types, they have, currency, this is a good one. Currency, love this. Currency, URL. Oh, percentage is a good one. Percentage, and then URL. Okay, that's gonna be enough. Okay, now those types, they're not one-to-one matched to Apex, and the reason for that is because Apex is own programming language that works in own kind of like set of conditions in own context. We call it context, right? And it would not make sense to differentiate between different text fields. So now this is in Salesforce. Now let's take this one, Apex. Now in Apex, a checkbox is called Boolean. Works in the same way, right? Boolean. Date is date, but then there's also date time. I think there's also date time there. Doesn't matter. Now text area, rich text area, all these text areas, they're all string. Lookup, ID, pick list. Pick list is also a string. Essentially, anything that is a text, which pick list, it is a text. Yes, you choose between different options, but at the end, it's just a text. Everything that is a text is going to be a string in Apex. So now we have pick list, string, email, string, number, and this is interesting. Now, what we call number in Salesforce can be integer, decimal, long, and what else? And double. Okay. Currency. Is it a string? No, it's a number, right? It's like a number. So it has to be the same. It has to be like this one, like the previous one. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure. Percentage, I think percentage would be also the same. And URL would be, if you guess it, it's very good, would be a string. So you can see out of who knows how many types we can have for fields, we have essentially just a couple of types that we have in Apex. It's relatively simple, right? I showed you string, and I'm going to show you a few more of them. But all of those types, they're so simple. They're very simple because you can basically, yeah, so they're very simple types. So what Apex called it is primitive data types. There are obviously also non-primitive data types. Yeah, for example, a contact, an opportunity. This is a non-primitive data type in Apex, right? But that's later. That is not relevant for now. But all of these types, they're primitive data types. They're very easy. They're very simple, right? Now, the reason why I'm telling you about this is because you cannot think about types in Apex the same way as you think about types in Salesforce. So it's important to keep in mind when we're speaking about this. Because again, Salesforce is Salesforce, Salesforce database, right? But Apex is object-oriented programming language. It doesn't have to follow the exact same definitions as Salesforce itself follows, right? Because it's not the only one programming language in Salesforce. We also have JavaScript, right? So it kind of follows own set of rules. But it was a pretty big segue into showing you more types, okay? Now you can see that here with a variable, whenever we have a string, we're always going to have those single quotes, always, right? Now, if we want to have another type of variable, then it would be like this, integer age equal to 27, which is my age, right? So you can see that the definition is the same, right? You have a type, you have a variable name equal, and then you put the actual value that you want this variable to have. So it all stays the same. It's just the type is a little bit different. Now, the only difference here is that we don't have the single quotes. Why? Because it's a different type. And depending what kind of type you have, you will have a different behavior, right? The same as in Salesforce, if you have a number field, and if you try to put text in there, it won't work, right? So different types, they behave in a different way. Apex or Salesforce, the same. Now, what happens if I try to put a single quote here, right? Let's try to execute this. Best guess, without looking up, what's going to happen? Right in the chat, guys. What's going to happen? Is it going to execute? What's going to print out? Are we going to get an error? Are we not going to get an error? Would be interesting to see. A guess. It's just a guess. So error. Okay. Good guess. Let's see. Guessing error. Like it. Okay. Hey, we got an error. But okay, no error. Well, unfortunately, there is an error, but it's fine. You cannot know it, right? It's just I'm just trying to make you guess. So, the good thing about this error is that it shows you where is it happening, and it shows you that it's line 2, and it's illegal assignment from string to integer. So this is line 2, right? So it's important that the error doesn't happen here. It actually happens here, okay? Now, the problem here, it will understand it as a string. Okay, so the problem here is that we are trying to assign to something that is supposed to be an integer. We are trying to assign a string. Because remember, I told you that single quotes, it means it's a string, right? So now this is a rule that you need to remember anytime you're doing anything in, wait, how do I? I want to crop. Yeah, okay. Come on, why doesn't work? It's very annoying. Okay. Wait, let me just do it again. Because it's a nice visualization that I want that this visualization, it basically stays in your mind. So if you don't understand anything from today's stream, but you only understand this one thing, that's going to be a win. Remember, I told you a few minutes ago, we have declaration where we create a variable, and then we have the value assignment where we actually put the value. Now, this is the big rule that we have, is that type on declaration or on creation of the variable, variable creation should always equal type on the assignment. Okay, equal type on type of the value, and it's out. Okay, so when you create a variable, whatever value you're trying to assign to this variable should match the value that you're assigning. The same way as what I told you before with the number field. If you have a number field in Salesforce and you try to assign a text into a number field, it's not going to work, right? So here you have an integer, and here you have a string. Not going to work. We know that this is not going to work. You need to have an integer here, which means anything that doesn't have the single quotes. Okay? But what you can have instead is you can have this. Age is equal to 27. Why? Because this is a string on the left side. And this is also a string on the right side. Yeah, sure, it is a string that has a number inside, but it's still a string, okay? Because you have the single quotes. So it works, but not the other way around, not for the integers. So with the integer, whenever you have an integer age equal to 27, there's no single quotes that you can have there. Okay. Another way to work with variables is that you can separate the creation of the variable and value assignment of the variable. So you can say age equal to 27, like this, right? You can separate it into two different lines. So here we are creating the variable, and then here we are assigning the value. Don't do that. Don't do that, okay? It's just bad. So don't do that. You can do that, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. What if data type is string and we don't provide any quotes? So like string age equal to 27, right? Like this. Your guess in the chat. Someone else, what do you guys think? Is it gonna work? Or are we gonna have an error? It's actually hard to speak for so long. Christy says error. Error. Okay, so chat thinks it's going to be an error. Execute error, right? For exactly the same reason. It's very easy to tell why. Because you have a string on the left side and you have an integer on the right side, right? So single quotes, they basically define, do you have a string or not string? So easy. And this is stuff that they will never teach you on Trailhead. This is so basic, but they just assume you know all of this. And I've been live for like 45 minutes. Let's say I've been explaining you this simple topic for 40 minutes, right? And this is just variable. This is the simplest 2 lines of code that you can imagine. Now imagine if you have so many other topics, right? And Trailhead never actually explains it. Can we have double quotes? No. Double quotes like this? No, not in Apex. It works in other programming languages, but not in Apex. Is it for number only or for text as well? It's for any variable. Any variable, for any variable, type on the left side equal type on the right side. Always, all the time. So you can write it down near your, like on the wall, when you just I don't know, I have here like a big calendar where I write different things. Just write on whatever surface you have. Type on the left side is equal to type on the right side, always, all the time, right? And then if your spouse comes home, just explain them that you watch a coding stream and you need to do it. Is it possible to use double quotes instead of single quotes? No. Always only single quotes all the time. Like this, right? The benefit of it is that you can use now the double quotes inside of the text, right? So here, if I execute this thing, then we're gonna see exactly that, right? So yeah, it's actually, guys, it's actually hard to speak for so long. I don't know. I think it's because I had already a lot of meetings today. My voice is already gone. Shoot the questions. Shoot the questions. I like it. Okay, so this is string. String is easy, right? I showed you also. Integer. Now we have another one, decimal. I'm gonna call it ABC, equal to 2.5. Right? Now, what you have as a number type in Salesforce, you have as a decimal type in a decimal or integer in Apex, right? Because in Salesforce, you can basically define how many decimal points you have, and here you have two different types of numbers, two main different types. The first is an integer where you don't have any decimal point, and another one is a decimal where you do have the decimal points, right? So it's pretty simple the same way. Typical error, very typical. Semicolon forgot. Okay, here we go. 2.5. Yeah. On top of that, we have a double. Now, double you usually would not use in Apex because decimal is sufficient. So double is basically the same as decimal. It just allows you for more decimal points. So if you're building something where some kind of precise calculations are important, then double makes sense. Rather than that, you would usually use decimal and integer, right? How do you know which one to use? You usually have a pretty good understanding. If you can use integer, you should use integer most of the time. Okay. So we have integer here. Now, if I try to do this and I execute, it's going to say, hey, you cannot do this, right? Illegal assignment from decimal to integer. Now, if I say decimal equal to 2, this is where it gets tricky, okay? Because you would say, hey, look at this. There's a decimal on the left side, and there is an integer on the right side. So it will not work, right? But if I click on execute, it's going to work. And you're like, what the hell? Why? It makes no sense, right? We just broke the main important rule that I told you to write it down, right, on the wall. And I'm going to explain it. It's actually simpler. Basically, let's get a little bit fancy. When you imagine integers, right, we can list them pretty well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, right? If you try, so basically you can list the first 100 integers. If you try to do the same with the decimals, you would not be able to do that, right? Because you would need to say 1.0, 1.1, 1.101, 1.00001, and so on, right? So this is just an endless amount of decimals that you can have. And if you think about this, then decimals, they already describe what integers describe. Every 1 is 1.0 in decimals. Every 2 is a 2.0 in decimals. 3, 3.0. So if we go back to math, you can show that this is all decimals. And then the subset of all these decimals is going to be integers. Integers, right? So the number of integers is kind of smaller than the number of decimals if we think about this, right? Because you can list the first 100 integers pretty easily, but try to list the first 100 decimals. You will not even move more than 1.1. So that's why we kind of say that, okay, integers are subset of decimals. So you can actually assign you can actually assign, what can you assign? You can assign an integer to a decimal. Okay, so you can assign an integer to a decimal. But all of this absolutely not interesting for us, because those cases I wanted to show you, just kind of show you the depth that you can go with like that simple thing, but you really don't need it. You don't need it. In reality, when you code as a developer, you really don't spend much time thinking about those things. I know it because I've been teaching Apex for the last 3 years, right? So I know those edge cases because sometimes people ask me those questions, but usually in real world, you would not have this type of situation. So you can get confused with all these type of things, but I will simplify it again for you. The main rule of thumb is that the type on the left side should equal the type on the right side. If you just follow this simple rule, you will be okay with all the types. When to use double and long? Double, you use it when you have very precise calculations. If you're, I don't know, if you're building some rockets on Salesforce, then you use doubles probably. And long is the same as integer, just longer, as the name of the type suggests. There is a maximum integer that you can have. Maximum integer value Apex. Okay, if we trust AI, which we should, I guess, in this case, this is the maximum value that you can have in an integer. So if you want to, for some reason, you want to use a number that is greater than that, then you would use long, which is almost never. Almost never. So in real life, ignore doubles, ignore long, focus only on decimals and integers. Those are the two types that will make up 99% of your coding. That's just that simple. Okay, and if you can use integers, if you don't have any decimal points, then you should be using integers. Easy. Easy. Like it. Right. Any questions? So, one type that we didn't really cover is the Boolean. And Boolean is simple. You can have either true or false. That's it. That's all you can have with Boolean, right? So Boolean is like a checkbox. It's either checked or it's not checked. Very simple. Easy. Okay. Do you guys still have stamina? Do you still want to keep going? Because now we can go to a little bit more complicated thing, but it's going to be at least helpful, because what I'm showing you is quite useless, right? Yeah, it's a fundamental building block of any Apex code. Yeah, sure. But what do you do with this, right? You can't do much. So let me show you with the strings. String hi equal to hello, and string name would be equal to Igor. Okay. And here I'm going to call it string result. What we can do with strings is very simple. We can just add them together. The fancy name for that is concatenation. So hi plus name. Result result, right? Now we're going to print it out. I'm going to execute. Hello, Igor, right? Like this. Now, the fancy word for this is concatenation. Concatenation. Developers, they love fancy words for describing a very simple thing. You take one string and you attach it to another string with no white space in between. You can see the way I did it, right? The way it looks like there's no white space between the exclamation point. So if you wanted to do a white space, you would need to actually add the white space to the string like this. Execute. Debug only. Hello, Igor. Now with the white space as we wanted. Okay, so when we speak about operations with variables, literally the only thing you can do with the strings is you can concatenate them to add them together. That's it. You cannot subtract, you cannot multiply strings, right? It would not make a lot of sense. All right. Now with integers, it's a little bit interesting. Integer a equal to 10, integer b is equal to 20, and integer c would be equal to a plus b. Okay, someone in the chat, in which memory string is stored? I don't think this question makes much sense. There's only one memory that you have. It's not like there are multiple memories. And I don't think you need to care about this, to be honest. How can you help me build a strong interest in coding so I can work efficiently and confidently at the company while maintaining my job in professional respect? Well, I don't know. If you're not interested in coding, I don't know. I cannot help you much. I am sorry. I cannot make you interested in coding. Okay? I don't know. If you're not interested in coding, I am helpless. If you don't want to learn coding on your own, I cannot make you. Okay? I cannot make you. So if you want to learn how to code, then I can help you. Okay? Then you can subscribe to my emails. Then you can, which by the way you guys should, then you can take my awesome course on Learn Apex, right? Learn Apex. If you're not on Learn Apex, then you're missing out. Okay? You can just it's not free. The whole course is not free, but there are free modules there. I don't remember which one, but you can practice there. The cool thing about Learn Apex, this is what I'm going to tell you. The cool thing about Learn Apex is that you can go and you can actually practice here tasks. Okay? So this is the game-changing thing. We're gonna improve this in 2026. We're gonna make it to a full-blown platform. I tell you, I have 2 developers in my team working on this thing. I'm working on this full-time. We're gonna turn Learn Apex into basically a platform where you can learn every single part of Apex for your job. You can become a developer just by doing Learn Apex. Okay? Right now, you can learn a lot of Apex, and we have a lot of people. If you look at the testimonials, we have a lot of people who did a really great job with Learn Apex, right? Over 50 people who left testimonials and over 500 people on the platform, right? So if you want to learn Apex, this is the best place. Learn Apex is the best, okay? We're going to make it even better. We're going to change it so much. We're going to make it awesome, right? So this has been my dream for a very long time, to build a platform where you can like actually learn and do a lot of tasks. And slowly we are getting there, because Trailhead is not going to teach you anything. Okay. So this was a small ad. Well, let me send it in the chat. We're gonna relaunch Learn Apex, right? So you can go and you can be on the wait list for Learn Apex, and then you're gonna get a really good deal for Learn Apex platform. Okay, so the integers, now going back to integers. We have integers, right? We can add them together, obviously, right? So I'm gonna execute so you can see how it looks like. We have 30, right? So it works as you would expect with a plus. We can also do minus, which is not a big of a deal. We can multiply, right? But now an interesting thing, what happens when we divide them? Okay, what happens? We take this thing here, we divide A by B, and we put this into C. Now, if you look at this, the right value, mathematically speaking, is 0.5, right? So write in the chat, what's your guess of what we're going to actually see here as a result? Okay. I was actually thinking about streaming a little bit more. I know if you guys like it, then I can stream more. 15. Wait, how do you get on 15? It's division. It's not minus. It's division. 1. It will work. Okay. I like the guesses. Execute. Debug only. And we see 0. I didn't see 0 in the chat. Okay. Why is it 0? Isn't it strange? Yeah, it's supposed to be 0.5. Now, what happens is this. 15. Okay, you meant 0.5. Okay. Yeah. 0.5. As you see, it was not 0.5, right? It was something else. What we actually saw there was 0. What we saw here was 0. Okay. Now, okay, we divide 10 by... Now, this thing here, it will deliver you 0.5, but because it is getting assigned to an integer variable, to this one, to the C, Salesforce or Apex only gonna look at the integer part of this division. And because you had integer here and integer here, so it will only look at the integer part of this whole division. So it will only look at 0. So it will take everything out, all this 5. Who cares, says Apex. We're only going to take the integer part of the result that you have. Okay? So it will be 0. Even if you had 0.99, you would still get a 0. It does not round it up anywhere. It takes the integer part of the division. Now, the way to memorize this thing is that the result of operation between the same types is within the same type. If you have an integer, then no matter what kind of operation you're going to do with this integer, at the end, it's going to be only the integer. Right? So for example, we have, let's say we have 10 and we have 3, right? We have integer and we have an integer. So the result of the division, even though the actual there is not an integer, right? It's supposed to be what, 3.3333, whatever. Because the results, what's going on with, right? The actual result is going to be 3, right? Let me execute this thing. Okay? Because whenever we have 2 integers, no matter what you do with those integers, at the end, you're going to get an integer. If you have 2 strings, no matter what you do with those strings, which is only one operation that you can do, at the end, you're going to have a string. If you have 2 decimals, guess what? No matter what kind of operation you do with those decimals, at the end, you're going to have a decimal. So if we change all of this, decimal, 1 decimal, another decimal, another one, okay? Let's do like this, right? We have 10.0 and 2.0, which are both decimals. We execute. And at the end, we get 5, right? Which is essentially still kind of a decimal, just 5.0, right? It's just a decimal. Just represents as 5, not 5.0. Now, if we have 3 here, now that's going to show the right thing. It's going to show 3.33333, right? So the easy way to remember it, again, operations between the same types always yield the same type. That's the rule. It gets funny when we start to mix types, specifically for operations, right? So for example, we have integer age equal to 25, and we have string name equal to Igor, right? And now we want to have something like age divided by name. Okay. Now what's going to be the type of this? Can we do that? Let's execute, and you can see we cannot do that, right? Arithmetic expressions must use numeric arguments. You cannot do string and integer together. Division doesn't work, right? How would it even look like, right? So as people write error, that's correct. Well done, right? So you cannot do that. But we can add them together. Execute. And it works. If we add them together, we're going to have 25 Igor. We added an integer and a string together, and it works. Well, because we can't do that with strings. We can add anything to the string. But now the question is, what is this type? What is the type of this addition? We add an integer to the string. What will be the type? That's the question to you guys. What's the type? It's a tricky question. It's a tricky question. String. Okay. Anyone else? Let's do string. C would be equal to H. Strumber. I love it. This is a good one. This is a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Let's execute this thing. And indeed, you will see that it's going to be a string. So, because no matter what you do, if you add something to the string, you still have the string component, right? It doesn't change that there's a string inside of it, right? So it's still going to be a string at the end, right? And doesn't matter what you do, anything you add to the string always going to end up as a string. Okay. So with the decimals, you can do all the normal arithmetic operations. With strings, you can only add them together, or you can add them with other types. With booleans, now that's where it gets tricky. With booleans, boolean, let's say it's a equal to true, and boolean b, a b equal to false. I'm not gonna go into this. See, you can, what usually you do in Salesforce, right, is that something like A and B, like this, right? This is the way you would do it in formulas, right? In formulas, you would have some kind of something that you concatenate with the AND. You have also OR, right? And you have also NOT for Booleans, right? Let me write it down. So you have OR, you have and you have not, right? This is what you have in Salesforce. In Apex, or is this, and is 2 ampersands, which I cannot draw, and not is an exclamation point. So for example, if you want to say A and B, you would put 2 ampersands, right? True and false, it's going to be false. Boolean. Spelling mistake. False, right? If you want to say or, then you would put those 2 things here. Execute true. Yeah, like this. If you wanted to say not B, then you would say like this, not B, right? Execute like this, true. I'm not going to go into this because I think there's a big depth to it that we can go into. If you want to research more this part, I don't think it actually makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah, just ignore this. This is what I'm showing you. This is literally all you need to understand Apex and be able to work with Apex on your job, right? So you don't need more than that. I always try to keep it the things that you actually can use on the job and apply on the job, not just like some theoretical stuff that is in Apex, but you don't need it. Okay. Now there's another interesting part. Comparisons. I love this part. Integer a equal to 20, integer b equal to 200. Integer c equal to a greater than b. Is it gonna fly, this code? Is it gonna run? Well, the answer is not. No, it will not. I hope you can spot a mistake. I hope you guys can spot a mistake, because this is what I want you to be able to do. I want you to be able to spot those mistakes here. It should be Boolean. Yes, exactly. It should be Boolean. You can see that this, we said that the variable c is going to be an integer. But this will always be a Boolean. Now, why is it the case? Because comparisons, they always yield you a Boolean. You can only have a Boolean. If I say that A is greater than B, then it's either true or false. It's either greater than B or it's not. Can it be something in between? No. It's either greater or not. There are 4 comparisons that you have in Apex. Greater than, less than, more than 4. Then we have greater than or equal, less than or equal, and we have equal and not equal. 6. All those comparisons, 6 comparisons, they're always going to give you a Boolean. No matter what. Okay, all the time, only Boolean. Because again, for example, with the equal sign, the 2 numbers are either equal or not. Okay? Those are 6 possible comparisons. And usually you would compare some kind of integers between, right? But sometimes you would also want to compare strings. I'll show you in a second. Right? But for now, let's fix this code that we have. So here, it has to be a Boolean. Now that's correct. Now I'm going to click on execute and we should see false. False. Why? Because 200, because what? 20 is not greater than 200. We can also have here immediately, let's say 10, right? We can also compare it directly with numbers. Right? So we can have it too. Execute, debug, and it's true now. Okay. Now we have this, and we can also compare strings. So, for example, string A would be equal to hi, and string B would be equal to hello, and now Boolean C would be equal to A equal to B, right? And now I can execute and see if it's true or not. False. Okay, which makes sense, right? It's not equal. Okay. But of course, what we cannot have is this one, less than. Right? Execute. Still works. What? It works, but it doesn't make any sense. Okay, the way it works. Okay. So the way it works, I didn't want to confuse you guys. It worked. It was not supposed to work, but it works. it will compare it based on the ASCII table. It will compare it based on the lexicographic comparison, whatever. I think it just compares it on the ASCII table. That's the way I think about this. But again, it doesn't make sense. You would not do it in real life, right? You would not say, hey, let's compare, is this string greater than another one? What's important, it does not compare the length, okay? It does not compare the length of the string. You could do it from the Apex perspective, from the syntax perspective, see, but you would not do that. Okay, you would not do this in real life, and you absolutely should not do that. If you feel like you want to write something like this, no, you're doing something wrong. Okay. Yeah, that's the basics of variables. It's the basics of variables. I made a mistake for the stream to stand. You can see my chair here. So I have this fancy of a standing table. Now my back actually hurts because I was running today. So I my back by the end of the day kind of starts hurting. I don't know if it's supposed to hurt at the age of 27 that much. I don't know. Do you guys have questions about this? Is it better than Trailhead? I hope it's better than Trailhead. Trailhead sucks. I can tell you a story, guys. I went once. I wrote like an email to Salesforce when I don't remember which year it was. I think it might have been something like 2019. Yeah. I wrote some kind of email to Salesforce, and I don't remember what exactly I wrote there. I just wanted to say them that, hey guys, there's actually the way you can improve Trailhead, because I just started with in Salesforce, like in Salesforce ecosystem, and I was trying to learn all this, like everything on Trailhead, and I was like, damn it, it's not nearly as good as all the other ecosystems that I used to. Right? Not as good as in Java, for example. So I was like, hey, I actually want to improve this. Like, do you have someone responsible for Trailhead? Can I maybe like somehow, I don't know, I just wanted to help them, I wanted to help them to point Trailhead in the right direction, and maybe they don't know or whatever, I don't know. Maybe I can help somehow them to develop this Trailhead for developers. And of course, guess what? No one responded to me. No one responded to me. So no one ever did. All right. And then I said, okay, I'm going to just build my own Trailhead. And how many years? It's what, 2026 right now? 7 years? 7 years in the making. 7 years in the making. I realized at some point I wanted to build a Trailhead and to make it free, and then make Salesforce buy it at some point so that they actually own it. But I realized I cannot make it free. I can't, because I will just not have resources. Like the problem, if you make like a free Trailhead or something, you need to be either a $1 billion company that has free cash, or you will just not have enough resources to make it good. Right? There's no point of making it half-ass somehow. It doesn't really make sense to make it any like just it doesn't make sense to make it bad. It makes sense to make it really, really good, so people can actually learn on the platform, right? So all of this that I've been teaching you right now, I realized how to teach it only after years of teaching it. I started teaching, I don't know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago in Salesforce. And the way I teach right now is basically the result of so many errors and so many kind of trials trying to teach people code in Salesforce, and then it's not working. And then I was reevaluating, okay, why doesn't not work? Why cannot they understand? Why don't they understand this topic? Why don't they understand that topic? And you can only build a good teaching material or a good teaching platform when you have this deep kind of understanding of people, how people learn, right? because what I explained to you, it's not on Trailhead. But I know that you need to understand these things. Otherwise, you will not understand later how to work with methods and classes and what are classes, right? You will never be able to understand it unless you understand variables. And all this understanding for me, how to teach these things and how to build it, it came from years of basically trying to teach it. And Salesforce just doesn't even try to understand what is the optimal way of teaching. And this was, and I don't know what is the Trailhead team, what are they doing, who they are. I've never contacted them. I don't know if they even have a team. They must have some kind of team there, but I don't know. Like, those people, I don't feel like they're spending any time on thinking what is the optimal way of actually teaching what are you trying to teach, right? Of course, if that's if you want to teach, right? If your goal is just to have some kind of documentation and that's it, then that's another thing, right? But if we go to the Trailhead, let's go to the Trailhead. Okay, now it's all Agentforce. Learn the skills companies need. Experiential learning, gamified platform, content for all levels. Become Agent Blazer. Connect. Trailhead Go. I remember when they produced Trailhead Go, like I saw that, okay, guys, you're producing like Trailhead Go and all these things. Why not putting all this effort in actually making something that will actually teach people? So yeah, it's pretty annoying, and I don't know. I know if we can fix it at some point, but I'm gonna try to fix it on my own, right? I'm gonna try to bring this platform to you guys. My vision for the platform for 2026, that it will have all the Apex and all LWC in it. Okay. First, I'm gonna bring the Apex platform, right? So first, I'm gonna finish the Learn Apex platform, and I'm gonna need your feedback, of course. We're gonna launch it. I hope that I'm gonna launch it this month. Maybe if we have a little bit of delay, maybe next month, beginning next month. So I wanna launch this, and yeah, we have a lot of people working on it. And then the next step would be to bring the LWC. You're profitable now. So it's a question. It's a great question. I'm not sure if how profitable we are. We are profitable as the company itself. Yes, right. So as the company, like the one that I'm trying to build a business, we are profitable, right? But the platform itself is not profitable. So I'm taking money out of all the other things that I do in my business to put it into this project. Okay, so so this is that would be one of my goals actually for 2026. I also want to make it profitable, because I have right now full-time developer working on the platform, and one developer working part-time, and then I have another guy helping me part-time, right? So this is my team, and then I have another mentor helping me with this, right? So that's a team of like 4 people, including me 5. So we are a team of 5 people. We are basically working on bringing this platform to life, and I hope that's going to work. So my goal is to make those developers that are on the platform basically profitable. Where are you taking it from consulting? No, from the cohorts that they run. From the cohorts. Cohorts. So basically people just go and they join the cohorts, and I teach live exactly what I do right now. And from all of this money, all of this revenue, we're basically taking it to finance this project and to bring it to life. But I really hope that maybe this year we can actually finally make it profitable. That would be really, really nice. Okay, I am a Salesforce BA functional consultant. I want to upskill myself. Where should I start from the technical upskill? Well, you know where you should start. This platform, learnapex.com. No, so to be honest, so from basically the first thing that you need to do, right, is that you need to learn how to code. This is the skill that will help you with anything else. It doesn't really matter where you learn how to code. So I'll be really honest with you, right? It doesn't really matter that you learn it on Apex. It's nice, of course, if you can learn it on Apex, right? So with this platform, it's the one that I'm building, right? So it's nice, of course, if you can learn it there, because then you don't need to relearn the language. You already learn it and you can already apply it basically on the job starting from the next week. That's that easy, right? But eventually it doesn't matter. If you learn how to code on Java or JavaScript or Python or any other language, right? If you do it, then you can learn Apex later, maybe even through Trailhead, because you already know how to code, and then you can switch in kind of understanding the programming on Salesforce. What is the cohort? Cohort is basically when I take a lot of people, like a lot of people, 10 or 30 people, something in between, and I go teach like this, and I live teach basically people, and I have homework, and it's structured. I can show you guys. I can show you my cohort actually, since you're asking. I can show you my cohort. So yeah, this is the integration cohort. This is the one that we've done so far, right? So you can see that we have people here. We have 37 members, right? And I go here in the calendar. You can see I go live here in this cohort every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, and I basically teach people. Can we have one live session on flows? No, I'm not touching flows. I'm not touching Okay, guys, let's do it like this. If you buy if you buy a lot of my courses, I will teach you flows. But rather than that, no, I will not teach you flows. I will not teach you flows. I don't know. I need to think about the number. 100K and I'll teach you flows. Do we have a deal? I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm not gonna teach. I'm not gonna teach flows. The reason for that is because flows is not something you should be doing as a developer, right? As a developer, you should focus on Apex and LWC, and flows are incredibly easy when you understand how programming works. Like, I have not touched flows for a long time. I can go into the flow right now and I can basically just do a flow because I understand how it works, right? So the flows, when you think about them, you need to think about something like a visual programming language, something like this, right? Visual programming language. And it is still a programming language. If you know how to code, you know flows. So the first thing that you need to do, if your goal is to become a Salesforce developer, you should forget about flows. And you should learn how to code. You need to learn Apex. This is always the step number one, basically, right? That's the main thing. So flows, meh, not doing this. Not doing flows for sure. For sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's my plan. That's my plan. Okay, so let's do the deal. If you guys liked it, maybe I can do it again this week to do a live stream. I don't know. What do you think? It's been a while since I streamed. I used to stream on Twitch. I see that there's someone from Twitch. I used to stream a lot on Twitch. I kind of like it. I don't know. I just love live streaming. I don't know. I love it. It's absolutely. I'll tell you guys, from the business perspective, it makes zero sense for me to stream. I would rather like if I really think how to use my time, I should not be streaming. But I just love it. I don't know. There's something about this direct interaction that I can have that I just love it. Can this course make a senior developer when I already have some experience? No, because to become a senior developer, you need to focus on other things. Because coding will not make you a senior developer. Like, if you're can you write a little bit more? Do you already work as a developer? If you work every day already as a developer, then it's a different thing. It depends what is your skill level, right? So when you're let's do it like this. You have junior. Juniors are green, right? You have a junior. Now you have another person, and they're mid-level, right? And then we have another person, and they're the biggest one. They're the biggest one, and this is a senior, and this is like a dollar box that they have in their hands. So to go from one to another, you need to do absolutely different things. If you want to become a junior, right? If you're an admin, for example, if you're working in Salesforce and you're PM or admin or something like this, right? Anything that is not coding related, then you need to do volume, right? You need to do incredible amount of tasks, simple tasks. Create a variable, create another variable, create 100 different variables, right? Make different additions, subtractions. You need to just do a crazy amount of volume. Now, if you're already a junior and you want to become a mid developer, mid-level, right? Then the only thing that you need to focus on is experience and quality of projects. This is going to teach you more than anything, okay? More than anything. If you're a mid developer and you're trying to become a senior, then you also need to focus on completely different set of things. You need to go deeper into certain things and broader. Depends what do you have. Usually when I see that juniors, usually they need to focus on LWC and DevOps on those things. Is this course contains deployment CI/CD? No. It's only focused on Apex. So this course is only about Apex. It teaches you everything about Apex, but not beyond Apex, which I want to fix this year. But yeah, how quick I can do depends a little bit how profitable we can get. Mostly into admin BA and minimal dev, but I'm handling my experience and policy. But look, so it's not so much about experience, right? It doesn't matter what is your experience, but it matters what are your skills in development. If you want to become a senior developer, you need to be working as a developer. There's no other way. You cannot become a senior developer by watching YouTube or watching live streams. Just won't work this way, right? Because, okay, so from mid, I think I didn't finish. From mid level to senior, you need to go deeper and you need to learn how to deliver end-to-end projects. End-to-end projects. This is what you need to do, right? And this you can only do by actually doing the projects, right? You cannot do it any other way around. So you have to work as a developer. You cannot do it any other way around. Okay. Okay, that's all. I think that's all. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this stream, then put the like, whatever, subscribe, go to my YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See you everyone on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining. See you around, guys.